Well, hello. Welcome to day 5 of ValenTangle 2024. If you were with me for day 4, my goodness, that tile was, oh gosh, so much. It took some time and it was quite complicated. So today we're kind of going for the opposite effect. We want to go, I would dare say, maybe not so far to say minimalist, but definitely a little bit of accepting that some blank space, some open space is valuable as well in our drawings. So today we're going to be working on a corner pattern. We're going to go ahead and get started on the ValenTangle practice by starting with gratitude. So I would just like to say thank you so much for following me along this journey. I love seeing all the other work that folks are doing on these ValenTangle prompts. If you have not visited the ValenTangle Facebook group, I highly suggest you do so. This is apparently the 9th year, and next year will be the last year, Marguerite announced. So I'm really just grateful that I have the opportunity to take some time and really enjoy little by little this ValenTangle challenge this year. All right, step 2 is drawing our corner dots. So in each corner, I'm just going to lay down a very light dot. And the next step is typically to connect these dots to create a border. But being that we're just doing corners, I might just want to maybe add another dot sort of in the middle-ish of each side rather than drawing a full border. And as you can see, I'm not measuring anything. This is just sort of my interpretation of where middle might be. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my Pigma Micron 01 in black. And my first lines, let's see, I'll work in this corner here. And I want to connect that middle-ish dot to my corner dot. All right. Right in the corner here, I want to nestle in an orb. And rather than starting on the side, I want to be able to see where I start. So, and I also want to get, sort of gauge for what kind of diameter I want on my orb. So I'm going to start away from the corner rather than starting along the line like I typically might. I'll ink in all the little interstices. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little orb inside as well. Ink that in. So from that starting point, I'm going to put a parallel line coming down, and then I'm going to let it curve to meet that original line. So it's kind of like a really thick aura, and then a tether. And do the same on the other side. And then I'm going to put a line right down the middle and do the same, where it's right down the middle, but then I'm going to let it curve off. You might hear my cat Gavin in the background. He's having quite a bit of fun in the living room. There we go. Now I want to round off both of these ends here. So let's round you. And then ink in the interstices. Round this one off, and this one. I want to add a little bit more flair or attitude to the end here. So I'm going to extend the line a little bit. And from the top edge right here, just let that sort of curve out. Kind of like adding, is that kind of like adding a serif to some hand lettering? How a little line, a little extension can sort of shift the attitude of something, or the mood or the feeling of it. All right, go ahead and nestle my heart in right here, trying my best to make sure that it's sort of centered. And then I will round in all these pointy areas. And that's pretty much all of the ink that we're going to put down for this corner pattern. I'm also going to put a smaller corner pattern right here. So let's go ahead and do that. It's going to look very much like how we started this one, but just a short little line rather than halfway. I'm not even going to measure it. It's really, I don't know, if I had to guess, maybe a centimeter. And then I'll put that, an orb in there, not as big as that one. And nestle a little orb in that. I don't even think I want to try to add sort of the side arms. I kind of just want to go ahead and round it off. Add those 3 little dots like we have there. That way it's just a simple little thing. That doesn't look bad just the way it is. Like if we, added color here, I wonder if I would want to add anything on the other side. But just for the sake of me wanting to, I'm going to go ahead and mirror this. So I'll put this same pattern right over here and this same pattern right over here. So I'll see you back in a few minutes. All right, so you can get an idea of what it looks like with all the line work in. So now it's time to add some color. So I'm just going to color the hearts here. Everything else will be shading and highlighting. And I'm going to start with my red Carbothello pencil. And I'll probably do multiple layers using these Carbothello pencils and my white ValenTangle pencil until I feel satisfied with what the heart looks like. So just be prepared for a lot of pencil changing and sort of judging, oh, do I like it just so, or do I want to add something? So let's work in this red, treating it as not only adding color, but as adding some shading as well. This is the darker area of my heart. All right, so now I'll come in with my light pink Carbothello pencil. And this one, it looks pretty strong when you first put it down, but then once you start rubbing it in, I don't know, it sort of loses some of its oomph. It winds up being a little bit more powder than color, so we'll see if that happens this time. So it blends out nicely, but it doesn't sort of hold its own on this gray tile. It lightens it a little bit, but it winds up being more powder than anything else. But I do like it as I used it in the last tile to sort of act as an intermediary between the red and the white. Let me blow this off. Yeah, that's interesting. So you can see spaces where that powder sort of collected. Sort of buff those out, smooth them. All right, let's add some white chalk pencil. Let me turn this for this step. Wherever I want a highlight. All right, so we've done our first round of 3 colors. Let's take a look. Do I want anything else? I kind of want to bring in a bit more red. Yep, I think I like it that way. All right, so for the 2 side areas, I'm going to take my graphite pencil and towards the outer edge of each of these, I don't know what I want to call them. They look like pipes, almost like an industrial feel to me. But anyways, towards the right side, lay down some graphite, and then I'll do the same on the other side. Go ahead and blend that in, create a nice shadow and then back to my chalk pencil. Just gonna put a little line of chalk, a little bit more towards the end here, but just a little line of chalk down each of these. Blend those in. All right, and I think the last step for this part is to add some Posca pen. So of course, I'm going to add a shine on the heart. I'd like to add a little shine on that orb, a bit of a shine on each of these. Did we decide to call them pipes? I think that's what I'm going to go with. And then I do think, as I was adding those shines, there are some spaces where I would like to redefine the line. After having added all of that pastel, some of the black areas were a little blurred out. And so I just want to redefine them, bring them to that nice dark shade one more time. All right, and then the last thing I want to add to this part anyways, it's like an external highlight, I guess. I'm going to put some chalk pastel and aura around the edge here. I'm going to start just by a little bit at the end, and then leaving a little gap, so I really am just trying to aura what's already there. Put in some chalk pastel. And then let's go ahead and blend that out. And then on the outside, right here, and right here, great. So for this little guy over here, it's just a matter of some Posca pen. Let's see, where do I want to put it? And then just as we did with the chalk, adding a wee aura on the inside and a little flick, 2 flicks on the outside. Let's work those in. right, so I'm going to do that same coloring and shading and highlighting on this side, and I'll see you with a finished tile. So here we have our finished day 5 tile, and I wanted to bring out the day 4 tile because this was quite a project. And for me, this tile in its simplicity is just as beautiful, just as interesting as this tile is in its complexity. And so it's a good reminder for me, you know, I don't always have to sort of go over the top with these complex tiles. Yes, they're nice sometimes, but sometimes it's nice to keep things a little simple. So let's go ahead and wrap up by reading today's quote. The things that truly bring us joy are rarely things, by Joshua Fields Milburn. And then we have our tile. This is so interesting because there's no sparkle or glitter on here. Normally I'm so interested in adding that, but for some reason, I guess with this lovely highlighting, it felt like, nope, it's good just the way it is. So thank you so much for joining me for this day 5 adventure. We're halfway through ValenTangle. It looks like we're up for a black hexagonal tile for the next day 6 prompt. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had a wonderful time and that I get to see you soon. Have a fabulous rest of your day. Bye-bye.